didn't feel like you were good enough because you were supposed to have this amazing experience. As a member, like you are basically told it doesn't really matter who you marry as long as they are a good Mormon person. So any two good Mormon people can get married and have a happy marriage. That is what you're told, really.
Mm.
That's what you're taught. And so I'm sure, like, I can't even imagine you, Braden, having that feeling and thinking, like, all of this is going to be great. This is what I've been looking forward to my entire life. You finally got, kind of were able to get control of your mental health. And then to just have that experience in the temple and have all of that come flooding back to you. I can't even imagine how all of those emotions truly did affect your marriage. Like, I don't even know like, how do you even process all of that? And how do you get to the point where you like, it's not, I mean, it's not your marriage. It's not him. It's not you. And is what it really comes down to is that you had this idea of what was supposed to happen. And this plan of happiness isn't working out the way that you were told. This fairy tale is not ending up being true.
Yeah, it definitely felt like it was not a fairy tale. And
Yeah.
I kind of thought like my entire life that it would be, especially with how you're taught from such a young age, singing temple songs and stuff. You definitely feel like, oh, it's going to be the best thing ever. Like, this is what I've worked my entire life for. So, yeah, it definitely was very sad and confusing, and definitely did bring in that sense of like, it's me, it's my fault. I just need to be better. I just need to work
Yeah.
harder. And I think that type of pressure really like screwed up a lot with our marriage too. And I think the reason I probably stepped away from the church more was because it felt like more shame and more guilt every single time that I went. Like it was
You
the
never felt happy. Everyone
reaffirming.
seems so happy, and you go and you feel terrible.
Yeah, but it was also
Yeah.
reaffirming that belief of like, you're just not good enough.
Yeah, I understand that because also like people are not real because you do have to put on this kind of like show of perfectionism. I was guilty of it. Like they call it like, like this kind of keeping up with the Joneses kind of a thing because everybody, especially like I lived in Utah for a while. And so when we were there, it's like everyone's on the same playing field, right? Like you're all believe the same religion. You all have a temple marriage. You're all the same thing. So like what's gonna put like set you apart, right? Okay, well, I'm going to be the best mom. I am even after I have a baby, I'm gonna make sure that I walk back in there looking like I didn't just have a baby. Like what's gonna make me look different? You're so worried about your appearance and what you look like on the outside that's not real. Like after I stopped being Mormon and someone was like, "Hey, you guys just you seem like you just have the perfect marriage." And I was like, "We don't. It freaking sucks." Like I've packed my bags a million times. Like I've been close to divorce a million times. Like that's completely natural. And I remember the first time someone was like, "Oh my God, like you're being honest?" Like, and it just shocking somebody, but there's just no honesty of how hard marriage is and that like it's a mess, but I also wouldn't want to do it with anybody else, and that's okay. Like we're still committed to each other and we're still happy, but guess what? Like sometimes I want to freaking punch him in the face, and I have. And like it's okay. It's okay. But I just don't know if that is a reality that we're allowed to show as members of the church because you are supposed to have this happy family. And that's the reason why I joined the church because like you, Bryce, I came from a really shitty family. There was physical abuse. I mean, on the regular, it was awful. My dad was an alcoholic. It was really, really bad. And my dad and mom had cheated on each other their entire marriages. Like the last thing that I wanted was a marriage like them. So, of course, like the appearance of this Mormon marriage is what I wanted for myself and for my kids, but it's just not reality. it's
That's
not
exactly,
real.
yeah. Seeing the Mormon family is like, yeah, that's what I want. I want to be a good family, a mom and a dad, kids, you know. And it's, I feel like it's worse in the church
Yeah.
because, like you said, it is not authentic. It is a lot of faking. I fake it, she faked it, you faked it. Everyone fakes it when you're there, you know.
Mhm.
And it's not a good mental space to be in. I feel so much better now. I accept myself for who I am. Everyone should try to change and become better, but I went from one side of the spectrum to the complete opposite side of the spectrum, and I think me and Braden are both working our way back to that middle where it's not so extreme either way, like an extreme high demand religion or an extreme, you know, life of debauchery. You don't want that either. You want to be,
Yeah.
find out who you are, what you do believe in. I feel like being in the church, I don't regret it. Now I can see more clearly, and I feel like that is a blessing. I feel like now I can see both sides really well, kind of like probably like you do. You can see when someone's in it and when they don't know anything about it, and someone who's left. You see a full picture. And I haven't felt like the anger or anything. When I found out it wasn't true for me, when I opened that door and learned all the things, I felt more of, like it's not true. Where she has felt anger and all that stuff and has been working through it a lot more than I have. And I like talking about it,
Yeah.
but I just don't with people. No one really asks. So
Yeah. And like for you, I mean, you kind of found out just by digging deep into the doctrine, right? And for Braden, it was more so like you had said, Braden, it was more like once you became a mom is when you started having doubts, right? Like, do you want to tell about that? How you, because we kind of had spoken a little bit about how you were like, I would never give my child conditions to return home.
I think all of these things like were little cracks in my foundation.
Yeah.
But motherhood, I feel like was the one thing that really allowed me to take a step back from it and really focus on my children and like the love that I have for them and how I didn't really want them to be raised and feel the same amount of guilt and shame that I grew up feeling because to me that wasn't love. It was, and so I think, yeah, motherhood was a huge reason why I felt confident in leaving because of, yeah, the unconditional love that was taught, but was actually very conditional love.
You had said before, like you felt as though even your parents, their love was conditional upon how good you were doing in church. Do you feel like the reason why you even did your personal progress 3 times was even a little bit to kind of like feel like you were making them proud or to gain that sort of like that praise, which you felt as though the praise for your church activity was tied to love and self-worth?
Definitely. I mean, I don't think my parents like did that intentionally by any means, but
No,
I
I
think
don't think so
definitely
either.
some pride and stuff
Yeah.
with church stuff. I mean, even to this day, like me being on this podcast, I don't think they're going to be like, "Oh, we're so proud of our daughter
Yeah.
being on this podcast." Like, but they'll be really excited for a temple being built or one of my cousins getting their mission calls and I understand it. It's a very different, I mean, I'm obviously like going against their belief system, but I definitely did feel like pride was based on church related
yeah,
things for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I kind of had shared my mother-in-law, she's the same way and she is the kindest person, like so kind, and I know that she doesn't do it on purpose, but we won't see her now. We won't see her. They visit, they live in California, so they would visit every time you have a baby blessing, every baptism, every time there is a priesthood advancement for kids or for my husband, like when he was put into the bishopric. You know, they will visit for every single church milestone, and now we won't see them. And I don't feel like she does that on purpose. I don't feel as though that's something that she is doing because she's trying to punish us. I don't believe that at all. I just think that the church programs people into feeling as though that is what is important. That's what's celebrated. Unfortunately, it has an impact mentally on everybody else when you are like, you feel as though your love is conditional. And I
Mhm.
don't think it's on purpose. I just think it's just a cause and effect of a system and how it's set up.
Definitely. Yeah.
I agree. It's like you said, the program. It's not, they don't realize what's happening. It's just how they've done it. And you go to a building every week and you've been doing it for your whole life. It was for 3 hours the whole time growing up, telling you exactly how to think, what is good, what is bad. And you can't help when you're fully in it. Is just like I dropped college, broke up with her, or like, left her, went on a mission because it was the only important thing, you know. And
Yeah.
to me, maybe there was people that I left behind, you know, focus on this journey of mine where I wasn't thinking about little things that maybe people were feeling, man, he kind of abandoned us. That's the first time I've ever realized that in this moment. So,
But you probably abandon people. Yeah.
well, yeah, like how your mother-in-law, you feel she's letting you down, but she's not meaning to. I probably let a lot of people down too by going so full on this. Like, this is the only thing that matters, where I'm probably hurting people along the way in a different way, by not being sensitive to their needs. Because they're, when you're not Mormon, you just don't understand. You think when you're Mormon, you know everything. You finally figured out the code of life. You have a literal book and a literal organization that tells you what happens when you die and what's next and what to do. So you think you have it figured out and you see the world differently, but you don't have it figured out. They're just telling you and convincing you how you have it all figured out, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even when like Braden was not really wanting to go to church and you were having a really hard time because you wanted to go to church, you wanted to do what you had felt like was right. Was there ever a time where you had asked her like, what is it? Like, where you were have that conversation of like, why? Why do you not feel as though you want to go?
I opened up about like the endowment, and I opened up about like how I felt jealous of your past and the things you were able to do.
Are we talking about right when we're married, or more towards like the end?
I don't.
Because things were different. The first year of marriage was just a combination of a lot of things. I don't know if we could really identify that, because it was
Yeah. Yeah.
the temple, being newly married. You know, we're trying to make it. We're living in my dad's basement. It's not even a basement apartment. It doesn't even have a kitchen. So that was a lot of things, and I'm sure it was the temple stuff and the church stuff, and me just getting off a mission and trying to. We got married 3 months after I got off my mission.
Yeah.
But towards the end, I say end as in like when we both started, she actually stopped going to church, and I still went,
With
and that was like around the time we had our son and stuff like that. And yeah, and if that is that what you're talking about, or are you talking more like,
beginning.
Yeah, just kind of like to understand like why, like did that kind of help you start to kind of even question yourself? Were you able to have that conversation with her and for her to express like, hey, I like you had said, Braden, like you felt worse. Like it should be a place where you go and you feel good going to church, but you would walk away feeling worse than you did when you went.
I don't know if we were having those kinds of conversations at the very beginning of our marriage, because I felt
no?
like almost every single time we had any kind of conversation, it was an argument.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so we kind of just did not talk to each other. I would
Yeah.
say, like in survival mode, that whole first year. And I think we were trying to get pregnant at the time, shortly after that, too.
Yeah, like a year after.
Yeah. And I think in my mind, I kind of thought, like, oh, maybe if we take this next step of like having a kid, it will be the next right thing in the church stuff that I need to be doing to be a good, worthy person. And
Your
maybe
checklist. You're going through your checklist, right? Yeah.
that will be the answer. I think I just, yeah, kept waiting for like it to get good. And
Yeah.
it was not. And so I think then the next thing we did really was just try to have a baby. And that,
And the entire time you're still like questioning yourself. You're questioning yourself, questioning like what's wrong with you? Why do I not feel good? Why am I not good enough? Why can I not be that person that I am supposed to be?
yeah, I think I always turned it inwardly. I don't think I ever questioned anything else around me. It was always like, I'm just not doing enough.
So finally then you got to the point where you started wondering like this just doesn't seem right as far as like being a mom. You were like what was your turning point where you were just like I don't believe this anymore?
I had issues with infertility, sort of, with my son. It took us a year to get pregnant, and I had to get on Clomid. It's not infertility to the extent that some people go through, but it was really hard. And I remember being very confused because it was like, this is what I was put on earth to do, was to have babies and be a mom. So that was another huge turning point, I would say. That was the time when I was pregnant with my son, is when I stopped wearing my garments all the time. And I remember that being a huge, like, oh my gosh, I'm terrible for doing this. But they like made me physically sick. I remember being very uncomfortable in them. And I tried a bunch of different options too, and I just could not do it. And I remember I stopped wearing those, and that was like interesting to me because I didn't feel like it was going to have some bad or negative repercussions. I remember it not having bad repercussions and being like, wait, why am I not like feeling like I'm going to be punished by God because I'm not wearing certain underwear? And so I think it was a slow burn for me, I would say. Like just so many different things on top of each other. When I stopped wearing my garments, like it became easier and easier as time went on. Like I would still put them on when I went to my parents' house because I did not want to get judged by them. But then like at home, I never wore them. And it got easier to not wear them as time went on. And then in 2021, my sister was getting married. I think I had just gone through a miscarriage, but I remember at that point I was pretty much out. I had kind of told you about my friend who had left the church. And I remember at that point, I was kind of like, I would say I was like sitting on the fence of like, I still believe in this because this is what I've always believed in. But I see all of these like red flags or things that I've personally experienced that have just made me feel like a little confused by it. And she had posted about leaving the church and that she like no longer believed in it. And I remember being shocked, and I remember bringing it up with my parents and being so judgmental about it. Like, why would she share that on social media? That's so stupid. And I think it was a form of jealousy to some degree for me because to me, it was like such a brave thing to actually do. Because in Utah, especially, and because she grew up the same as me in a very Mormon family. And I remember I started to have conversations with her about church stuff. She had gone into like all the history and learned about Joseph Smith things and gospel topics and all that. And so she slowly was like started to tell me things when I would ask. She was actually very respectful and didn't like shove it on me. And so I think that slowly got me more and more to just want to not have anything to do with the church. It wasn't until my sister got married. I was not planning on going to her endowment session because I hated it, you know.
Had you not
And
gone back to the temple since you got married?
we had gone maybe 2 times, 2 or 3, maybe. I think I went and did initiatories with my mom once, and I know went with like my cousin one time to do endowments. So we like did not go often. And I was like, okay, I'm done. Like I never really wore my garments anymore or anything. And I remember my sister was going through the temple for her endowments, and I was not going to go. And my mom called me and kind of like guilt tripped me into going. And I remember talking to Bryce and being like, I do not want to go. And I feel like I have to. And I feel like I'm going to disappoint my mom if I don't. So I went. And I remember being consumed with anxiety the entire time. I thought I was going to have a freaking panic attack in the endowment session. I was losing it. And I was like, I cannot do that because this is not about me. It's about my sister. This is her thing. Like, she's very excited, but I hated it. And I was so done after that. Like, I remember that was the like nail in the coffin for me of like, and that's it. I'm never doing that again. I refuse. Yeah. It was a lot of little things that led up to that, but that was definitely the turning point. I would say the biggest turning point. And I haven't talked about that on my Instagram yet. I'm like slowly working my way up to that.
Yeah. So how was that timeline with you, Bryce, as far as like, so she decided right then, that's when she's like, I'm done, I'm out, I'm not going back again. Where were you at during that time?
So around that time was probably the time that I was still going to church with my boy. I'd become, I'll admit, it was hard the first few years of marriage, just like she was adapting to my family and certain things I was adapting to, things she was struggling with. So at this point, I didn't even hold it against her or anything. I just like, yeah, okay, like stay home. That's fine. Like, you want to go to church today? She'd be like, no. I'd be like, okay, well, I'm going to go. Like, as we live close to a church, I'd go with Liam. I didn't judge her for anything. Whereas before it may have been an argument, like I would have like maybe some resentment, like, gosh, like she's not even trying, like here, like we did all this stuff and she's not doing her part. You know what I'm saying in the Mormon perspective of, I'm supposed to be doing these things and you're supposed to be doing these things. But in reality, that doesn't work because that's not what humans do. Humans are very complex, just like you said about the conversations. In theory, we should all have more conversations and understanding, but the reality of it, conversations and understanding are very hard for.
Yeah.
So we were around that point where we're doing all right. I was going to church, here and there still, and she was not. And I knew about her friend who had left, and she's great. They were our neighbors. They're really nice. And then I think I started to experience and be fed up with more of the things that she had experienced. Where now I'm a member. I had been a member. I joined in. Yeah, so 2021. So I've been a member. Now I'm fully, I'm a seasoned vet now. I've been on a mission. I'm not new anymore. I'm not the project. And I started to feel the things where I was just tired of feeling guilty. I felt guilty about everything. I was like like I'm not good enough. No matter what I do, I could work 12 hours, come home, make dinner, be a good dad, be a good husband, and still it's like, you're not doing good enough. You're not good enough. You're not good enough. No matter what happened, I just felt like a bad person. And I think it just triggered me to start thinking, it's like, why do you feel like why do you want to do good things? It's like, do I do this thing for God or am I doing it because I want to be a good person? And that clicked in my head. I was like, I just want to be a good person to be a good person. Like if I do stop and help somebody, or if I do say hi to somebody, it's because that's who I want to be. That's who I want to become, not because I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and because God's always watching me and judging me. It's because that's who I genuinely am. I just got fed up with it. I was like, I'm sick of feeling guilty for everything. And it was a realization that if I genuinely care, then I'll just be a good person, not because of a religion or because God. And then it started to
Because
make
they're
me.
on your home teaching list.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, if
Yeah.
I care about the person next door, I'll just go over and be like, hey, bro, you okay? What's going on, man?
Yeah.
Not because it's like, oh, I got to do this obligation, but God's going to be mad if I don't do it, or I won't be amplifying my calling. And then I started to think of my son. And it was in that moment, I think it was on the drive, I was having all these feelings, and then I just got a sick feeling. I just started to think about it in that way. And I was like thinking about God, and I was like, this is kind of gross that we're expected to worship our Father in heaven, because I am a father and I don't want my son to worship me. That's the last thing I want. I don't want my son to do things for me to make, like, you need to worship me. My whole existence is to worship this thing, and if I don't, then I'm shamed and I feel guilt. It's like that's not what I want to do to my kid. I'm an imperfect human, and a perfect being wants that. And I just started to think that's kind of weird to love him and worship him with all of our heart, might, mind, and strength. I don't want my son to worship me and love me with all his heart, might, mind, and strength. I want him to be happy. Like, I want him to build his own life. I want him to find hobbies and a career or whatever, even if he doesn't have a career. Just do what makes you happy. I just genuinely want you to be happy. I don't want you to worship me, that's for sure. So those little thoughts started to creep into my head, and then that's where I opened the door. I think I was just curious at that point. I was like, I'm going to just learn stuff. And I watched 2 documentaries. I watched Keep Sweet, Pray, Obey. It's about
Is that the Warren Jeffs documentary?
Warren Jeffs documentary. And it was disgusting. And sadly, it felt like there were so many similarities. Because it is. That's the true, like that was where the church was going. And then they branched. I watched that one. And then I watched Under the Banner of Heaven. And then I just opened the floodgates, and I think I just found Mormon stories, and I just started listening to people's stories. And once I found out, it was exactly how I got in the church is how I got out of the church. It was, I learned about like the book of Abraham and the actual story of it, and I'm like, what? Like, that is not what I was taught. And then everything I learned, I was like, what? That is not what I was taught. So I taught all this new stuff, but it's not even the truth. It's just bits and pieces of kind of it's changed. Half-truths. And then I just went all in, and I was just obsessed, and I just listened to Mormon stories every day. And I think I went up to her, I don't know when it was. And I was like,
2022, we had just moved into our new house.
I was like, I don't think the church is true. I just told her like that. I was like, I don't think it's true.
And I remember being shocked. And then was it in that same moment that you said you didn't believe in God either?
Well, I just came to the understanding it's okay. I don't know what I believed in. It's so great just to say that. I don't know. Because in the Mormon church, you're indoctrinated to say, I know this is true. I know this is real. I know tithing blesses you. I know God lives. She's like, well, do you still believe in God? I was like, I don't know.
I don't know.
Well,
no idea.
What do you believe? What do you believe? I don't
Maybe
know.
the God one was at our new house.
When I told her that, she told me that she was so happy. I don't know if in that moment, but after we sorted it all out, she was like, when you told me that, it gave me permission finally to let go of it.
Yeah.
Because she started to not believe, but she still believed. Like, she didn't like going to church, the feelings and everything. But once I said, I don't even think this is real. Like, I genuinely think this is made up. Like, a guy made this up for power and gain and money and all the things. Go look at it. Just go to the whole history and tell me that that's not for your own personal gain and corruption and stuff. It's not what they told me it was.
Yeah.
You don't have to convince me. So Braadyn, what was that feeling like in that time? Like, how do you remember how you felt when he came to you and said that to you?
It was definitely like, okay, this to me was like a closing the book on that. And obviously there was still so much to discuss, but I think it was just like closing the book on that part of our lives that had been so consumed by the church and the guilt and the shame. And it kind of like closed that and opened a new book to like, this is our life now. We can kind of set our own standards. We can figure out the way we want to parent our children based on what we think, not what a God or a church thinks. And I think that just like...
Was that weird at all?
It started the healing process.
Was it weird?
Yeah, was it weird? My husband said it was so weird. He said, I remember the first time we were going to make a decision about something, and he said, it's so weird to not think that we need to pray right now.
I can see that. I feel like there's been times that I've been like, I should pray. Wait, I don't do that anymore. But like, that's for me more personally. I feel like when it came to my kids, I believed in our love for them enough that I felt like we knew what was best for them. We didn't need someone else telling us. But yeah, I feel like personally, it was weird for a little bit to like not pray about things or ask God for help. Because I felt like that's just what you do. That's like the second thing you do after you worry about something. You're like, I need to pray about this. I
still do that to this day.
Yeah.
Like I'll be driving, like going into something stressful, and like my first thought's to pray, and then I'm just like, I got this. Like, you just need to do this. Like, this is on you, man. Like,
And I
you
think
figure
that's
this out, man. You're the one that has to do this. So.
I think that's been the coolest change, though, is like putting that power that you give to a god or to a unknown higher power being into yourself. You internalize the belief of like, I can
you
do
start to
this.
believe in
I
yourself.
am enough. I don't need someone else to tell me that. I don't need someone else explaining things to me or telling me what to do or how to live. Like, I know what's best for me, period. I know what's best for my children because I love them more than anyone else on this earth. And I think that has been so much more powerful than any higher power that could exist for me, at least. Like, personally, I don't want or need a God because I believe in myself. And that, I think, is the biggest change that both of us experienced.
Yeah, and I'm open to whatever. I'm not saying I don't know that. I don't know what there is. There could be a God. There couldn't be a God. I'm open to whatever learning. I
And
think
that's okay.
something.
And that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
the peace that she felt, and I think I felt too, is that the relief, I should say, is that our kids don't have to go. They're going to have a different problem now because we're in Utah now. They're going to be the ones that are.
There's a lot more ex-Mormons than we believe, though.
But it's
or
just
that we
like
know.
going through that struggle of, I'm a bad person. I'm a bad person. Like, I have these perfectly normal, natural human feelings of whatever, liking a girl, liking a boy. Guess what? That's normal. That's great. You're designed that way. And that's awesome. You just got to let me teach you why we have to control certain things and we can't do certain things in a healthy way, not just don't talk about it, because that was
Don't do it.
her upbringing was don't talk about it. These big things that you need to talk about, because we just don't talk about it, just brush it away, and guess what that does? It amplifies it, and it makes you more curious, and it makes you go crazy because you just think you're such a bad person for stuff that's 100% normal. And that is where I find peace, that my kids, I can just tell them. Like, if my son says, Dad, is there a God? I don't know. What do you think? Let's look into it. Or like, why do I feel this way? Or I did this thing. Well, let's talk about it. I don't have to say, well, have you been reading your scriptures? Have you prayed about this? Well, maybe we need to go, that's probably because you're feeling punished. I hate the feeling, and I think all Mormons feel it, that when we do something wrong or something bad happens, it's because we're bad and we're being punished for what we didn't do or what we could have done better.
Well, also, and I think most importantly, like for you, Braadyn, is that you had this bar, right, that was set by the church, and you felt as though you couldn't live up to that bar. And so for you, like that's what, crushed you, like crushed your self-esteem and your self-worth. And now you guys together get to set your own bar, even what your marriage looks like, what parenting looks like, all of those things. You're setting the bar. So it's a lot easier to live up to the bar when you're the one that's setting that. And why is that not okay? Why are we not allowed to make our own rules? Us as adults, why are we allowed to have children but we can't make our own rules? Why do we I remember like going into the bishop's office so many times, and I'm like, because I let my son play basketball, a championship game on Sunday. And I'm like, why am I going into the principal's office? I am like, I'm a mom. Why am I having to answer to anybody else? Like, it didn't make any sense for me. Like, I was like, I don't know why I'm having to answer to somebody else. If I'm grown up enough to be a mom, I'm grown up enough to tell him whether or not he can play basketball on Sunday. And like, we went to church before that, so I don't know what the big deal is. Like, really don't know what the big deal is that he played. Still don't.
Did you get called because of it, or you just felt guilty?
What do you mean?
To talk to the bishop.
Like, did you really go talk?
No, I got turned in because
he called you in for that?
Called me in because so we used to not let our son play basketball on Sunday. We would pull him from the championship game. And so my daughter, for instance, like, my kids are they're not just like the bench kid. Like my daughter plays basketball at University of Idaho, and my husband's 6'7". So our kids are they're basketball players. They're a very pivotal part of the team. And so when you take a kid that's a starter and you pull them from a championship game that they've worked so hard to get to, like they're pissed.
Fair
And
to the
not
team.
just yeah, and the team is pissed. Like, so we had for a lot of years, I mean, we had a lot coming at us, and there was a huge blow up between our son and us where he was just like, I hate this church. I hate you guys. As soon as I turn 18, I will never go to this church again. Like, I
Also,
remember being like,
him,
this is a problem. Like, this is not okay. And the fact that it's causing so much animosity between our son, and he's a good kid. He didn't drink, didn't have a girlfriend, like did nothing. And then the bishop had called him in and was not going to let him pass the sacrament, and also was not going to be able to let him have
not going
a
for basketball. We're going for
yeah. Yeah. And so and the reason why is because my husband was in the bishopric, and so it looked really bad. It looked really bad because he's in the, his dad's in the bishopric. And so basically to get him to fall in line, they were kind of threatening him and telling him he wasn't going to be able to pass the sacrament. And then he also wasn't going to be able to have a temple recommend to go do baptisms for the dead with everybody else. And then also the bishop had told him that he needed to go back and tell his parents that them allowing him to play basketball on Sunday was not okay. And when he told me this, I just saw all red, because to me, that is meddling in somebody else's parenting. And I was never okay with that. I mean, ever. Like, I was in the young women's for years and years, and in the presidency, and I would never ever contradict a kid and their parent, whatever was going on. I would never ever step on that line. And I I was upset. The bishop had called me in to tell me that that's what was going to happen, that he had talked to my son. And I mean, that's when I kind of had a lot of things that had happened until then. And that's when I was like, that's it. Like, things had happened to me personally and I could take that. But once it started happening to my kid, that's when I was like, I'm out. Like, absolutely out. Double middle fingers. Fuck you. Fuck this. Fuck everybody. I ripped my kids out of their primary classes. My husband, I don't even know where he was. I just called him later and was like, he's like, what happened? I'm like, I don't care what you do, but I'm not going to that church ever again. And he's like,
So did you still believe at this point?
yeah,
Like,
I did. I still
fully
believe.
believed.
I 100% like, so I just barely got excommunicated because I was out for 4 to 5 years and nothing happened. Nobody cared. Nobody came and checked on me. Nothing, right? Like, explosion, all the things.
Hey,
I
look, your
remember
experiences caused you to leave too. Just the hypocrisy, like I
it was
said.
the hypocrisy of it. And I remember being like, this is bullshit. This is not a church. This is a system. This is something that is like, it's all about image. None of it is inspired. And you don't know that until you get into leadership and you see behind the curtain and you're like, this is a fucking puppet show. Like, the whole thing is a puppet show. But up until I was excommunicated, I was seriously like, I believed all of the Joseph Smith stuff. It wasn't because I never had listened to Mormon stories. I didn't even know that polygamy happened. I did not know that Joseph Smith was a polygamist. I always
What?
thought, yes, I always was told and taught by members that it was just something that anti-Mormons do to make the church look bad.
Like a
That is
rumor.
what I was told, because obviously this church is true. And so Satan has all of these people that are anti-Mormons, and they are constantly throwing false accusations towards the
Yep.
church to make them look bad, because we're the only true church. And I believed all of it, hook, line, and sinker. I am an idiot.
We're all idiots.
Like,
No, you're not.
You know what
It's
I mean? But I just
You're brainwashed.
pretty
but I
convincing.
was believing it up until I went through the excommunication process, and I was like really upset because I was like, well, I don't want to be excommunicated because then my temple marriage is dissolved. And then we won't be together as a family. And my husband walked out and he's like, "Was that a show?" And I was like, "No, I'm dead serious." And he's like, "You know none of that's real, right?" And I was like, "No,
So
I
why'd you get
still I remember being
excommunicated?
like, I still believe it. I just think that the people are fucking hypocrites. I don't like the people, but I believe the doctrine."
You
But
did
now I
until you
know
went
it's not
to court.
real. Like now I'm like, I know that Joseph Smith literally just wanted to have sex with 14-year-olds and all these other people. And so then he created polygamy. I did not know any of that. I didn't know that the Mormons
I
created
didn't know the
polygamy.
extent either.
Maybe let's just ask this though. Like, okay, so how do you feel as though your marriage has evolved, like changed since leaving the church? Has it changed for the better or the worse?
Definitely the better. So much better.
And how so?
I mean, in every aspect, I feel like we see each other differently. We treat each other differently. We're accepting of each other. Whereas before, I feel like we both like judged each other to some degree, or wanted to try and change the other person. Our sex life is a lot better. Just every aspect, I feel like because we are happier.
She is finding herself for the first time, at 30 years old. And I think the church was shaping her a certain way. And she felt all those feelings, which caused all the problems. And then now she's truly finding who she is and what makes her happy. And that is what I've always wanted. Even when we were in the church, she didn't really want to hang out, like didn't have any like best friends and stuff. I was like, you need to find some, like you need to go have some fun, find a friend, do whatever. And it was just this confusing time. But now she's out. She's got a really great best friend right now. She goes and does stuff with her. She went on a cruise for her birthday and is talking to people and getting tattoos and doing whatever she's kind of navigating that. And that's what life is. Like it's finding your way. And 10 years from now, she'll find a different way. And same with me. So I think her just finding herself has brought us closer together because she's happier. It's more authentic. Just everything's more authentic.
Yeah.
Where if you're angry, it's because you're angry. It's not because you didn't read your scriptures or you didn't go to church. Everything is just it's 100% ownership. If she's mad at me, I probably did something wrong, or maybe she needs to reevaluate why she's mad. She needs to like loosen up a little bit. It's all self accountability instead of we're not following this plan. And with all the psychological trauma and stress that comes with the high demand religion, like that being gone is like a weight off our shoulders. And we can actually focus on our marriage and our kids and our life and our career and our whatever we have in the moment. Where people in the church, it's their calling. I got to go help brother so and so, and brother so and so probably doesn't even care about you. He's probably only helping you because he's a member of the church too. Like not all the time, but just that weight of just leaving that behind us and focusing on the actual family, like the church teaches. The family's the central unit and the central thing. We're actually practicing that now and building our lives and doing it together. And it's been a learning process, but it's been good. And I have high hopes that it's just going to keep getting better from here.
How do you feel as though like even boundaries, have you found that it's hard to even kind of set boundaries as far as like you guys probably drink alcohol, right? So like when you go out with the girlfriends, is there like a certain amount of even like drinks that you're allowed to have, or is it just kind of a free for all, or is there ever like a worry about bad things happen because you're told when you go to a bar that bad things are going to happen when you drink? Have you found any of those things like within your marriage as far as navigating that? Like, are we allowed to drink when we're not together? Are we, like those types of things? Have those conversations come up at all yet?
I think we've had a few of those conversations. I think for both of us, it's been a learning curve. Like we have to experience it and then kind of decide from there. I don't really love being drunk or not feeling like I'm in control of myself, so I don't feel like it's been as much of a worry for me. Whereas like Bryce likes to kind of, I mean, I love when he drinks. He becomes so fun and just like carefree. But we've definitely had our experiences of being drunk, and I feel like that definitely has taught us to not do that in the future, or like to be more careful or be in better situations when we do drink that much. And I think it's been kind of cool to be able to experience those things and learn from them, not necessarily know right away like, okay, this is the rule on it. And I think we're trying to be more just like, I don't know, balanced with it all, not overdo it, just be able to have fun but still be smart because we're parents, you know, like.
Yeah, luckily for me, I already did that for a long time. And we did get back into it. Well, I did, I had a buddy pass away, and that's right about the time that we stopped going to church. So that's the first time I drank. It was at his celebration of life, and it was great.
First time you drank after being sober?
It was like sober for 10 years.
10 years. First time I ever drank in my entire life was at his friend's funeral.
Yeah. And luckily for us, she doesn't really like drinking. She does like do it and stuff, but she doesn't like drink into oblivion.
We have fun drinking
we have
together,
fun,
but it's
just
not like as much of a.
It's not like a Mormon couple who finds drinking for the first time because they leave and they gotta experience all this stuff. Like, I've already experienced it all, and I'm very well, like, I know what's going on and what's gonna happen, what could happen. Every few months maybe we might drink, but it's just comforting to know that we can go do those things and it's not a big deal.
So then do you also feel as though, like, now that you have more time as a family, now that you guys are outside of the church? I just remember somebody telling me that was she was married to a non-member, and she had said that her husband was always made comments because she was so busy with all of her callings, and he's had said to her, for a church that is all about family, it sure does take you away from your family a lot. And we had experienced that. Have you guys experienced any of that, like feeling like you have more time together as a family?
Sundays, just think about Sundays. It's
Sundays
so great.
In general, there's just no pressure to do anything for church stuff. It's so nice. I would never ever go back to that. I mean, he had callings every once in a while, and I remember being bugged when he had to go and do stuff.
Part of the problem. Yeah, I'd have to leave and it'd be a fight. But,
well, because he was at work all day and I'm at home taking care of our son by myself, and then he finally gets home, then he has to go do something for the church. It was like, what the hell? I need you here. So yeah, definitely I agree with that. It's been so much better.
Way better.
For family time, which is hilarious because you're right. The church is all about family, but then it's like, actually come do this calling for the church and work for free and be away from your family. Cool.
It was nice to meet you.
It was nice to meet you.
Thanks for being a good sport.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay, so I am just really curious, how was the transition for you when you stopped going to church, as far as like your friends that were still LDS? I know you kind of talked a little bit about your family. Sounds like there needs to be some conversations still there, but like, as far as even like friends, how did that transition go? Did they continue to be friends with you, or like what happened there?
Okay. So actually, I've never really had like close girlfriends in my entire life. So I didn't really have any like close friends necessarily that I was worried about. I've had one friend. We've been friends since we were 4 years old, and she's still very much a member of the church. And we still talk to this day. And I've talked to her about some things within the church, and we're just both very respectful and understanding of our beliefs now. And we don't really go into depth about things necessarily, but she still treated me the same and loved me, and she's amazing.
You're really lucky.
Yeah, I am. I'm very lucky with her. And I actually ended up talking to my mom before I had posted about leaving the church. I did have a conversation with my mom, and I just said, like, I don't believe in it anymore. I opened up about a few things, and my mom was pretty like kind and understanding. She was definitely sad. I know it was really hard for her, especially with the Mormon teachings. You know, I'm sure just going through her head of like not being with her kids forever. But she was really, really nice about it. Was kind of like confused as to why I felt like I needed to post about it, but I just kind of said like it's something that I feel like will bring me a lot of comfort, and I just would rather people know. My dad, he has straight up told me he will not talk to me about church things. I know that that's so that we don't get into arguments and have like, you know, fights or anything. So I understand with that, but it does make me a little bit sad. I wish that I could have conversations. I wish I could have discussions like, you know, what do you think about this aspect of church stuff and hear their side too? Because I love debates and I love when they're healthy, when they're not a fight or an argument, when it's just like two people talking back and forth about things and not necessarily needing to be right or wrong, just like a conversation.
Yeah,
I
I
think,
know what you're talking about. Yeah, I've had
yeah, I
friends
just
like
think it'd
that.
be
I love it.
cool to like be able to have those types of discussions with my family because they are knowledgeable about things and I would love to hear their take on stuff.
But
And my
also,
sibling,
I feel like for you too, is that it just explains so much, like so much of just your struggles early on, like with, like with mental health. It really just explains so much because this idea of perfectionism and purity culture and all of those things is trying to live up to an expectation that is unreal is sometimes just like it's not for everybody. Not everybody can handle that.
I mean, I'm pretty sure most of my family does not follow me on Instagram, like in the sense of like seeing my posts. I know my mom sees them, and I'm pretty sure she like has read them and taken the time to try to better understand me, which means a lot. But yeah, I don't really feel like anyone else in my family cares to know. I don't think they want to see the church in any kind of negative light, even if it is in my own personal experience. I think they just, which is sad because to me that's you're picking a religion over family, and I understand that because it's taught like to do that basically, but it is sad to me, and it doesn't make sense to me now like why anyone would pick religion that may or may not be true over a family member.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Luckily, I mean, but I have my sister. My sister is Mormon and she hasn't really spoken to me since I came out on the podcast. And I've always felt like, whenever she does, it's like, come to this, or it's like, come to this church thing or that, you know what I mean? And I'm just like, oh, like, I love you, but it's just not for me right now in this season. And, like, I don't invite her to come out to the bars with me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like a
Yeah.
respect thing. Um, but yeah, so how is it even just like living within Utah as a non-member? Because I do feel as though like even looking at your posts and your reels, you are very, very like compassionate. I feel like you're kind and you are just like when you share, you're sharing your journey, your healing process, and you don't have any sort of hate or judgment that's behind anything that you do. So how is that as far as like making friends and living in Utah as a non-member?
It's again, I've never really had like a ton of friends. I have one best friend and she's also out of the church, and I think that has bonded us in a lot of ways. She's amazing. But like I was more worried about my son making friends at school after like the parents found out we weren't members of the church and stuff. And shockingly, I most of his friends are either Jack Mormons, like they go to church but they're not super, like one of my son's friends, they go to church but his parents like don't really wear their garments or anything. And then I've met a lot of his friends aren't members at all, and that was shocking to me to find that, like, and that's why I said earlier like there's more ex-Mormons than we think. I think a lot of them just don't care to talk about it. Totally fine. But it's been comforting to me to know that, like, I feel like it's becoming more and more of a thing, because I genuinely thought like all of his friends in school would be members of the church, and more often than not they're not, and it's awesome. So it's been really easy to like make friends and get to know people, and I genuinely for the most part don't feel very judged. I mean, I think I'm in a really great area. When we lived in our old house in Salem, the Relief Society president would come and visit me, and the first time that she ever came over, I was very like straightforward, like, we are not members, we do not believe in it, we want nothing to do with the church. Like, we'll go to activities and stuff if you want us there, but we just don't do that. And she was so incredibly kind. I was like, oh yeah, I have a brother, he's gay. Like, I feel like people should be able to do whatever they want. And she visited me. She brought gifts for every holiday. Even this last Christmas, she got books for my kids. She's incredibly kind. And I just feel like those are the types of people that are going to change the church and actually do good in it. So yeah, I really haven't felt a ton of hate unless it's on Instagram and people want to like fight me on there. But
No, I hear you. Same thing. But no, we need more good people like that. We have a lady that's, I mean, she does the same thing. She's just great to my kids, great to us, stops by, brings, birthday cards and Christmas and all of that stuff. She's just a really, really nice lady, and probably the only Mormon that still talks to us in our neighborhood. And she's so sweet, and she does not care. She does not care if we went to church or don't go to church. Like, she loves us the same as she did before. And I just feel like we need more people like that. But yeah, no, there is a lot of hate. There's a lot of hate on Instagram. I get a lot of it. I've seen like comments on yours, and I don't know. I just wish that there was less of that. Like, there was just more understanding. But it seems like it doesn't matter if it's about religion or even political views. People have a really hard time just being tolerant of people that are different than you. And it shouldn't be like that. Like, it really shouldn't. Just because we have different ideas or we want to follow something different, and just because I'm speaking about my healing journey, and like maybe we're just doing it to help other people, because if like your story can help one person, no matter what it is, like, everybody can connect with somebody's part of their story, and nobody's life's perfect. Everybody has struggles. Everyone has a hard time. And if you can help even one person, like, it's worth it. It makes it all worth it. Like, why can't everyone just look at it like that? Is that we're not doing it to bash anything, but that we're doing it to help other people that are in similar situations.
yeah, and to just let other people that know that they're not alone. The amount of messages I get daily of people saying like, wow, I thought I was the only one that felt this way, or wow, your endowment video, like, I felt the same thing and I thought I was so alone in that. It is insane how many people feel or go through the same things that we go through, and like need that to be a thing. Like, they need to know that they're not alone in that. And I think that's a big reason too why I share it. Like, I don't want anyone to feel alone in it. I don't want people to think that it's them, like I did. Like, I thought it was just me, my fault. I was a bad person. I'm glad that people are recognizing that that's not the case. A
Yeah.
lot of people go through this and feel these same things.
Because don't you wish that you would have had somebody that you could have come across that and seen that and been able to learn that earlier before it even got so dark?
Oh, yeah. I think if I had had anyone that I felt like I could have talked to about that stuff, it would have been a huge turning point in my life and just in my mental health. I don't think I ever talked to anyone besides my friend who had left the church, and that was towards the end of it, anyways, you know? So I'm glad that there's people out there like us now who are standing up for what we believe. I mean, it's funny because members of the church are doing the same thing. They're sharing their beliefs. Why can't we? Why can't anyone else like
And you don't
make
see us commenting, like, I see the things that they put, I just scroll, like, keep going, keep
yeah,
scrolling. I
just
don't need to stop. I don't need to comment. I don't need to give my opinion,
yeah.
because it's not necessary. And yeah, but I I'm with you. Like, you get so many DMs from people that are just, like, thank you. Like, you have no idea how this story or this guest or whatever it is, like, I mean, constantly where they're just like, I know I can't comment because my family's still in it or whatever, but I just wanted to send you a message privately and just say, like, I needed that. I needed to hear that. And I'm like, that makes it worth it. So go ahead, keep commenting, keep increasing my algorithm. I appreciate it.
Seriously. It always makes me laugh. I'm like, you do realize you're just making this worse for yourself, right?
Yes.
By like
You are
commenting on
going to
this, you're
see
just gonna
my
get more.
You're gonna see my stuff all the time now. You're welcome. It's
You're
like I'm
welcome.
never going away. Like, the Instagram and TikTok will make sure I'm always in front of you now. So you're
Yep.
welcome. Okay, so
It's
you
the best.
went on a cruise, like, you treated yourself to a cruise. This was the first time, right? Like, you traded in
Yes.
that one piece.
Yep. I
Okay, tell me
have
about it.
never ever worn a bikini before. Me and my best friend went, and I was like, it would be so fun if we got matching swimsuits. And she starts sending me bikinis, and I was like, oh shit, I've never worn a bikini. Also, my body is a little fucked up from having kids, so I like,
I mean, aren't we all? Listen,
right?
yeah, that's what filters are
So,
for.
yeah. So I was like really nervous to wear one, but I was like, no one's gonna know me. I'm not like, it won't matter. And so we got matching bikinis, and I
And
ended up wearing,
is this your friend that had left the church? Is that who you went
yeah,
with? Okay.
yeah, yeah. She just encouraged me to wear one. We got matching ones, and we actually got two matching ones. And it was just so fun to like experience that the whole cruise was life changing. I know it sounds so cheesy, but it
No, it
really
doesn't
was.
at all. I think I think we all have had that experience where it's like it's life-changing because for the first time ever, you were probably figuring out who you really are and not who
Yeah.
you were told you had to be.
Well, and this is a controversial, but we became friends with a bunch of bachelors. One, it was a bachelor party, a group of guys. Most of them were married. Being around them, they didn't know how I had lived. They didn't know me in any sort of way. The way that they were, I mean, most of them were from like Nashville. I have just decided that people from Nashville are the kindest people because all of them, and not in like flirty ways, they were just like, they loved my tattoos. They were like, oh my gosh, your tattoos are so amazing. And they would be like, you have the prettiest eyes I've ever seen. And just like so complimentary, but not in like a creepy way. They were just, I felt like I was seen for me, not mom me, not ex Mormon me, not LDS me, not anything else but me. And
You
it
didn't
was,
feel judged for the first
I didn't
time.
feel judged. I didn't feel like I felt seen. I think that's the first time I felt seen for being just me. And in that moment with all of these random dudes, I was enough just as myself. I didn't need to put on some mask to be good enough. I was just enough as myself. It was life changing. I think it was the first time that I was like, I really am enough as me. I don't need to be this version or whatever. And if people aren't going to accept this version of me, then fuck them. Like, I don't want them around then, anyways. Like, I know people saw me hanging out with these dudes as like, oh, Braadyn's just cheating on her husband and she's just being like, but there was no part of that whole situation where we were flirting with them or anything. Like, I went away from that cruise with a bunch of new brothers. Like, we still follow each other on social media and like we'll see how the other's doing. They were just the most incredible people, and I genuinely feel like they changed my life. And the things that I experienced with them, like there was one part where we were all dancing. We were just up and just like singing along. We were all a little bit drunk. And the song Stargazing came on. I think that's what it's called. You and I Stargazing, you know that song?
Yeah.
And I'm singing it at the top of my lungs. And there's a part that says, "All this time I've wasted, you were right there all along." And I start bawling. I am not a crier. I do not cry. I never cry unless I'm on like in my luteal phase or whatever. But I was sobbing in the middle of the dance floor with tons of people around me because those words, I was singing it to myself. All this time that I've wasted, but I was always right there. I was always this person. I just needed to find them, and I just needed to like allow myself to be happy with this version of me. And yeah, that's why I say that cruise was life changing, because I think it was the first time that I saw myself as truly enough, because of I was me and I was enough for me, and that's all that mattered, you know?
And also, it's okay to have relationships with the opposite sex. It's
Right?
okay. Yeah, like it's definitely not a Mormon thing, but it's okay. And I've also gotten to that had that same experience where it's like, like I don't feel like anyone's trying to sleep with me or anything like that, but just we're just all just having a conversation and there's nothing threatening and that's okay. And
Yeah.
that was something that I think you have to get used to, but at the same time I'm like I love this. Like one of my best friends is a guy. I mean he's also my husband's best friend too, but like
That's awesome.
and he's single and divorced or whatever, but still he's our best friend. I always tell him I'm like you're my non-gay best friend, like because he's just like he's just like one of the girls or whatever. Like I don't look at him any other way than just like like just a human. Like it's okay to have those experiences. It's okay to make friendships with people, like that are outside of your sex. Like that's okay.
And
It's okay.
it really has only been members of the church that have like judged that
Yeah.
situation. No one else has really said anything. And it was funny because even these guys, I pulled the guy who was the groom. He was about to get married. I was like, if this is going to make you guys uncomfortable at all, because that's where my brain went. I was like, I don't want to like offend anybody or like make someone else's wife uncomfortable. That's not at all what I'm trying to do here. And he was like so confused by my question. He was like, "What?" It's fine.
So
Like,
odd. Yeah.
wife or my fiance would love you guys. She would want to hang out with you guys. I hope you guys get to meet her someday. Like,
Yeah.
really, it wasn't like none of them batted an eye. And if they were uncomfortable with it, I think there was two brothers who were married that were there, and they would just go off and like do something else whenever we were around. So I assumed that their wives would probably be a little bit more uncomfortable with it, but they were being like respectful to their wives by doing that. And I had talked to Bryce about it, and I was like, "Are you okay with me doing this?" Like, we would hang out with them by the pool and dancing, and more often than not, they were just like protecting us from actual creepy dudes. Like, there was one dude that was trying to dance with my best friend, and these guys could tell that we were just like, this guy's a creep, and they could tell he was a creep, and so they like came over and grabbed our hands and like pulled us to the dance floor, literally to keep us away from the creeps. So they were literally just like a bunch of brothers. It
I
was
love it.
awesome.
I love it.
Yeah.
And also, at the end of the day, the people that get to set any of those boundaries is you and your husband. Like, it's really nobody else's business. And I just love it. I love that you finally have found that place of happiness for you. Like, you just seem so happy. Like, do what you want, live how you live. And like you're still a good person. You're probably an even better person now. You're probably a better mom, a better wife. You're just all around just better because you are happy and you're finding out who you are. And that's really like that's the medicine.
100%. I feel like I mean, it was always taught to us, like, you have to love yourself before you love anyone else. And for the longest time, I was like, well, how am I supposed to do that when I loathe myself? Like, I genuinely didn't feel like I would ever be able to love myself. And it took leaving the church and doing things for myself as simple as a new piercing or a new tattoo, and slowly finding who I am to truly love who I was. Because before I was this version of myself that a religion wanted me to be or my parents wanted me to be, and you can't love a version of yourself that isn't you. That doesn't make any sense. And I think that's why that disconnect was happening so much, because I literally couldn't love something that wasn't real. It wasn't a real version of me. So yeah, it has brought a lot of peace, happiness, and love in myself. And I definitely have more empathy, less judgment, more love, more acceptance towards other people that I never had as a member of the church.
I love all of that. And then also just knowing that your kids, like you broke the cycle, like your kids are also going to love themselves. They're also going to not feel judged by you and come to you anytime anything happens. Like I mean, I never wanted to go to my parents for anything because I was always so afraid, and I didn't grow up Mormon, but it just I do remember always feeling like I was never enough. And yeah, like you never want that. Like you always want more for your kids, right? And yeah, no, they're very lucky that you have found this path and found this journey, and that like, do you feel like you love yourself now? Like, are you content? Are you happy? All of those things, that feeling of coming home that you were promised when you went into the temple, do you finally feel like you found it?
Yeah, because it was coming home to myself. It was finding me. That was the actual coming home. And I think, had I not experienced all of those things, as much as I look back and regret a lot of the way that I lived my life and things that I wish I had done or missed out on, I don't think I would have found this version of me without it. I feel like I have found my home now. And I hope that I can teach my children that. Like, home isn't another person, it's not a religion, it's not even a higher power, it's yourself. And that's like the only thing that really truly matters in life.
I love that. I feel like that's a mic drop right there. Let's leave it right there. I love it. Is there anything else that you want to say, or anything else that you would want somebody that was in your shoes or had experienced what you had experienced? Is there anything else that you would like to say?
Do what's best for you. I life is too short. It is too short to live it for anything else or for anyone else. And I think that's been a huge thing for me now, is like knowing I just have this one life. I don't know what comes after, uh, and that's okay. But I'm gonna focus on now, and I'm gonna live it as good as I can, as best as I can for me. And obviously, that my kids and my husband too, because I am a wife and a mother. But I think, like you said, when you find your internal happiness and peace, that comes out on everyone else. And I think, live your best life. As cheesy as that sounds, I
Yeah.
I just really hope that people take a look at what they're doing, what they believe in, who they're even married to, the type of job that they have, and I hope that they really sit with it and question, like, is this what I want? Is this the life that is making me the happiest? And if it's not, change it. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed, next year isn't guaranteed, and you don't want to die and live with any type of regret. And
That's
also,
perfect and beautiful. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on with me. I really appreciate it. And I love being able to get to know you even better. I'm a huge fan. I'm going to continue to follow, like, subscribe. Like, I'm a huge fan, and I hope I get to meet you in person. So when I'm down in your neck of the woods, I'm going to definitely text you, and we're going to have lunch.
please do. Please
Okay.
do. Thank you so much for having me on. It meant a lot to me. And
No,
I love
same.
this. So thank
Okay.
you.
No, thank you. Okay, bye.
Bye.